And so really this is your moment that God's raised you up to help us. And you've written one of the greatest books, and we're just glad to have you here. 48 days, 48 days. Think about this, guys, 48 days to the work you love. First off, what prompted you to write it?
I had been working with people for a long period of time through our Sunday school class, and just kept growing because there were so many people confronting the issue of not just I lost my job, but am I really on the right track? So I was seeing people who were physicians, attorneys, pastors, dentists, who were saying, even though I'm seen as successful, I'm still not sure I'm on the right track. So I've had a long experience working with people going through those inevitable kind of changes. Now things have really accelerated. There's no question about it. And you kind of alluded a minute ago, often, good is the enemy of the best. And it's easy to just be complacent when things are kind of okay. So when things are like they are right now, sometimes it's just a wake-up call to really help people go to something better.
Tell us to get to that better place, and I so believe that crisis is also the same symbol for opportunity.
That's right.
And as we are facing not a crisis but a new opportunity, what I'm intrigued by is 48 days. How did you come up with 48 days? Why 48 days? Because I'm sure it's not something you just pulled out of the air and said, that's a great number.
It's not real scientific, but there was a reason for it. Because in working with people, I would often work with somebody who was really miserable in what they were doing work-wise, and we'd lay out a careful plan of what they were going to go to. And 2 years later, I'd run into them, and they hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. Why would somebody who's unhappy see a clear plan and not act? So I thought there's got to be a timeline on that. Now, we know in the Bible, God used 40 days a lot when he wanted to change individuals, countries, or nations. So I thought I'd add a few, give us a little margin there, but 48 is really a reasonable time to look at where am I, to get the advice and opinion of other people, to identify the best options, narrow down, choose the best one, and act. So in doing that, I've had the privilege of working with a lot of people in these transitions, but if we go through that process and day 49 rolls around and they haven't done anything, that's okay, but it just simply tells me they've made a choice to stay where they are. The options are there. We know we can move into them, so 48 days is a reasonable time frame. If you go beyond that, you probably are making a choice. Stop blaming, pointing fingers, just accept the reality that you've made a choice to continue in what you're doing. That may sound a little harsh, but that's really the way I encourage people.
I hear that, and I think that's a good, to me it's a good reasoning, because if in 48 days you're saying, I'm still here, then you're saying I don't have whatever those steps are, or that inner fortitude or that desire to bring change. Because change has somewhat of a price to pay. And you said something significant in the beginning, that you, in your Sunday school, were talking to physicians and doctors, pastors, professionals. I'm thinking all the complexities that go along their life with change. So what is the initiation? Where does it start? How do we know? Is there something better? Am I living a life of fulfillment? I think it's pretty easy for someone that's unemployed right now that's saying, okay, I'm at a blank slate. But what about the person who is kind of caught in the dead-end job, not fulfilled, not satisfied? It's going to change jobs, but it's not really living a life.
It's easy for people to think right now that I better just keep whatever I have, even if I'm miserable. But that's not really true. I mean, there are opportunities right now, just like there were 6 months ago, 6 years ago. There really are. The opportunities may just look different than what they did for our mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. It may not be the company that guarantees your salary, gives you a 401k contribution, medical care. It may look a little different. I mean, the predictions are that by the year 2010, only 50% of the American workforce will be employees. Now, not unemployed, but only that many employees.
So most of us will be our own business owners.
Well, we were seeing all these new terms emerge: consultants, contingency workers, independent contractors, temps, entrepreneurs, electronic immigrants, telecommuters. Those are all things that let us know the workplace is changing. And the people who are most frightened right now are the ones who are trying to hang on to the same kind of work model that worked 20 years ago. That's changing. It's inevitable. But change doesn't always mean it's bad. I mean, we have to have change in order to progress. I mean, that's just part of the definition.
Dan, if 50% is changing, what can I do right now to prepare myself? Because that change is coming, ready or not, or it's really here.
It is.
What can I do to prepare myself that I don't get left behind?
Well, it's easy to get caught up in external circumstances and look at who's hiring, who's laying off, where are the opportunities, what are the best franchises and all that. Those are recipes for short-term solutions. Even though it may seem counterintuitive, 85% of the process having the confidence of proper direction in our career comes from looking inward.
Yeah.
So we need to draw that line in the sand and look inward. How has God uniquely gifted me in terms of skills and abilities? What are my personality tendencies? How do I relate to other people? What kind of environments work best for me? And then what I call values, dreams, and passions. A lot of times when somebody's 45 years old and goes through an unexpected change, we're able to look back and see recurring themes and things that they're attracted to, things that put them in a zone, things that make their heart sing. We want to embrace those, and change is an opportunity to do that. But you've got to do the 85% looking inward first so you get a clear focus and the confidence and boldness, enthusiasm to move forward into the 15%, which is then the application, which frankly is the easiest part to do.
So I'm loving this because what you just said is really finding a new career, new work, and not changing and going from job to job. Like any principle in life, it's 85% reflection, inspection, and then that 15% is the application.
That's right.
So if I don't identify, find my gifting, my talents, my abilities, my desires, my dreams, my values, as you've labeled, that should be the foundation that I design then the career, the job, whatever we want to label it, the life, or what I do in this earth, the assignment, the purpose, based out of that reflection and inspection, then I start moving with it.
Absolutely. Then you have the confidence. But if you've never done that internal part first, then the job becomes too important, and losing the job is disastrous. It feels like you're starting over and like you're directionless. And we hear people describe it in that way all the time. I lost my job after 25 years, now I'm starting over. Well, you're not starting over. If you've matured and grown in that period of time, you're a different person. You're prepared for different things than you were 25 years ago. You're a candidate for things that people 25 years younger than you are not. And you ought to be able to take advantage of those rather than feeling victimized by the change, even if it was unwelcomed.
You know, so really what we're saying right now is this is not a setback, but really probably your greatest setup to find out what your life purpose is and to live that out. Since most of us spend most of our waking moments working, building in our career, spend more time with people at work than you do with your own family members. So as we build a life by design, God has a plan for you. That plan's always working, and we'll be right back so you can find out how you can function in the plan that God has.